Hi everybody, Jane here. Thank you so much for watching today and welcome to you all. Today I am going to be working in this rather large Dina Wakley ledger journal. It's based on a reproduction of an actual ledger and it's on this lovely mixed medium manila sort of coloured paper. I decided I wanted to do something quite bright today, all in the different colours of the rainbow, and I wanted to make a panel going right across the 2-page spread. Because I'm using acrylics and things that aren't so watery today, I've decided to not worry about putting some tape down the middle. Usually if I'm going to use things like watercolours or lots of water or lots of texture, then I will sort of add some washi tape or some masking tape down the centre just to help protect that spine area. But because I'm using thicker mediums, I'm not worried. So I've got this stencil. I'm sorry, but I cannot tell you what it's called. It's one I've had for quite a long time, but it's got all different sorts of squares and rectangles on it. And I wanted to go across in the colours of the rainbow. So I'm using my Decoart fluid acrylic paints, and the colours I use are Pyrrole red, Pyrrole orange, primary yellow, green gold, cobalt turquoise, or no, actually cobalt teal hue, Prussian blue, and dioxazine purple, just to get those 7 sort of colours of the different colours of the rainbow, the spectrum. And I switch out my brushes a little bit because I did find they were getting a bit muddied in colour, and you will see that I do have to take the stencil off and give it a clean in between. So acrylic paint doesn't take too long to dry, but I did in between each one give it a little bit of a blast with my heat tool just to make sure it was dry before I added the next colour. And I am going over a little bit to try and mingle the different sections together a little bit to give a bit more of a gradient, although that wasn't really my number one thought. Now I made sure that my acrylic paint was totally dry before I did this next section. Acrylic pens will work over lots of mediums and they will work over the top of acrylic paint, but the one thing you do have to make sure is that it is totally dry. I have ruined many an acrylic paint pen by going over things that weren't quite dry, and so do make sure you put that step in. Also with the Posca pens, they are a paint pen where it's held within the barrel of the pen. So each time you do need to give it a really good shake. And that's also a sort of an area that I often forget to do too much. I give it a little shake and then I expect it to come out properly. But sometimes if you find that the white paint, or I'm not sure if it's an acrylic ink or what it is inside there, if it's not coming out white enough, you probably haven't shook it enough to mix the actual colour with the binder enough. So you do need to really give it a good shake, and there is a little ball in there so that you can hear that as you're going, that really mixes it up. And then it will need a little pump of the tip just to prime that nib. And you will see me every now and again during this part go onto the side to prime that nib like I did just then. And I'm going inside the lines of the stenciling. I just wanted to add something. I just felt like this needed a little bit more definition into these shapes, and I'm not trying to be precise at all. I'm actually being quite rough in the way I'm drawing around the inside, but I'm drawing inside the shapes just to add that little bit of extra dimension and interest. Now, once that was all dry, I wanted to add some stamping, and I wanted to use black ink. So I'm going with the Archival ink, and I'm using these stamps from one of my stamp sets that I designed for Cleverprints. And I will list what I've used in the description box. However, some companies, such as Cleverprints, seems to no longer be trading. So I don't put links anymore, because often those links will expire, and apparently YouTube can give you a strike if you put links on your descriptions that are no longer available. So I don't want to get caught out with that and end up losing my channel. So I have just now always just put a list of what I've used rather than any links, and that way you can look up on the internet what the different companies may still be around. Also, if you're in a different country to me, often the countries that I am buying my products from, the companies I'm buying my products from are in the UK and may not even ship to other countries. So it's more, it's better for you to look it up for yourselves. But also, if you can't find the exact same thing, use what you have. I always say that. So for example, like with the stenciling, I don't expect everybody's going to have the same paint as me. Use the colors you have, use the paints you have. Don't even have to be paint. You could use pens through the stencil to do the same effect. You know, adapt to whatever you've got. Now I'm colouring in on these circles that I stamped with a mixture of, these are all pigment pens. So I've got the Steadtler pigment pens, and this was the pastel set I think I've got. I add in a couple of the Faber-Castell Pitt pens. They are an India ink based pen. This means that they will work over the top of the paint because they're not water based. They're not water reactive, so they will go over the top of things, but they're also not alcohol, so they won't move the lines of the archival ink that I've stamped with. So they're an ideal one if you want something that's going to be permanent and that will go over lots of things and isn't going to interact with other products on your page. They're a good pen to use. So those are the two main pens I'm using here. And I'm just, again, I'm going with that rainbow theme of just going with all the different colours I can. And when I finish with these, I will go in with a little bit of the Sakura Jelly Roll Stardust Sparkle pens as well, just to add a little bit extra. Once that was all dry, I wanted to add another layer into my spread. So I'm going in with this star stencil. I think this was one that was possibly with a magazine. I'm not sure. There's lots of different star stencils available. And I've got just this HobbyCraft acrylic gold paint. It's quite a cheap one. It's probably the one I use the most just because it's handy. It's quite a nice sort of shade of gold. I quite like it. It's not too bright and blingy, but it does show up nicely, and I just added that all over the page just for some little extra spots of texture. Once I had put it down, I did feel that I just wanted to outline some of them. I don't know why. I just think because I'd outlined the shapes in the middle, it felt a bit odd just having those gold stars. So I just went really roughly around some of them with the white Posca pen. I didn't go around every single one, just a selection in each of the sort of the clusters that I had done. I chose the Collage Soup Hey Diddle Diddle book and found this image of this lovely lady with some stars, which I thought went with the page. I wanted something that had a black and white image in it, just to really contrast with the colourful background, but also then the stars just sort of being colourful fitted in with the page so well. Now, I did struggle a little bit trying to get this in the place. I had cut my edges of the image off so that they would be nice straight edges to fit in this corner, and I just had to fiddle about quite a bit to get them to stick where I wanted, and I'm using the Liquitex Professional Matte Medium to stick it all down. Then I'd also picked this bigger back chat sticker set from Diane Reevely. These are sort of a little bit more snarky, and they come in strips, so you do sometimes have to cut the odd bit off, but I've just had to cut that one word. And although they are sticky, I also still add on some matte medium, because as you can see, even when you stick them down, you do still get some movement, which is quite handy if you're not quite sure where you want to stick them. So that's quite good to start with, because you can place them wherever you want. But then I want to make sure that they're sticking down sort of permanently. And then I just go in with my white Posca pen again. This is the 1M, by the way. I should have said that earlier on. It is one of my favourite pens. And I just also went into the image and added in some extra highlights and some extra details, just to sort of make it stand out a bit, but also make it more of my own. And that's one way you can really make these images feel more like you've added something extra rather than just putting somebody else's image into your work. So thank you ever so much for watching today. If you have enjoyed this project, do please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already subscribed, I would love it if you could do that as well. And there is also a hype button. I think it appears on the app more than on other devices, but if you do see it and you feel like you'd like to give some extra support, that's also a lovely way that you can help out smaller channels, because it makes them more visible to YouTube, who then sort of promote our smaller channels a bit more. And at the end, you will see a list of my lovely super supporters. These are my YouTube members, and a big extra thank you goes out to them. So until the next time, thank you very much for watching, and bye-bye.